Hi, how's it going, everybody? My name's Tet. I decided to make this video really quickly, just so that you can see what I'm messing with. This is my keyboard, and I set this up so that I could teach people, different ways to understand the piano. And the way that I teach is with my own setup, my own style. Because if you go over to my Patreon, which is just TDA, like ta-da piano, at Patreon. I'll put a link in the down below, and hopefully you'll be able to, navigate this. This is the first time I've ever used a Patreon page, and I built this, like I said, back last year in December for all my other students. But I thought, hey, maybe other people would like that, and so this is for you. If you decide to come over here, I'm just going to show you real quick what this is. Lesson 1 is all about your hands. Okay, it's about how you hold your hands. It's about how you position your hands on the keyboard. It's about talking after you get past what keyboard you want. Hey, are your hands even going to fit? You could get a keyboard a lot like this one right here, right? It's very small. Like your hand would have a hard time fitting on this, right? Like, or at least mine does, because it's big and the keys are maybe a quarter of what they normally are. But if you're just using this to create, DAW workstation stuff, then this is no different than the keyboard that you use to type on. And so if you, like I said, if you're over here, I want you to understand how this works. You come over, you pay your $27. You get access to these 6 lessons. These 6 lessons are 20 minutes apiece, because as a former military sergeant, I learned very quickly that even at, the highest level of your attention, like even if you practice paying attention, right, you're getting a good solid 20 minutes, and that's about it. Everything past 20 minutes, especially with kids or even adults, I would say you're getting a diminishing return of your ability to focus on that particular subject. So I set these up to be used in a week, right? So you're going to go for lesson 1, the first week, you're not even going to touch the keyboard. Maybe you're waiting for your keyboard to arrive from Amazon, maybe like something like that. But doesn't mean you can't do the exercises that are here. This is all about familiarizing yourself with your hands, and also locating certain things on a keyboard that you don't really need a keyboard. You can just familiarize yourself with the pattern of the keyboard. Second is about where the key of C is and why we use that as our go-to key that we will always play in, using a form of transposing as a part of this system. You have to understand what we're playing with now is we're playing with keyboards. We're not playing with pianos that don't have transpose functions. Those functions, like little buttons that are on almost every keyboard, even on this keyboard over here, this tiny, like $50 keyboard, right? There's transpose functions on that keyboard. Okay, and these are functions that are usually on any keyboard past the 1980s. So moving on, we talk about the structures of all, songs and theory and music theory. And I use the hierarchy of kings, queens, and jacks to sort of build a story in the mind of the tempo is the foundation, the bass is the foundational structure. And then of course you have your jack, which is, it plays as if it's the most important part. The melody, everyone usually, when they get to a song, they really don't care about the foundational structure. Sort of like when you see a skyscraper, you don't really care about the basement that's holding it up. You don't care, right? But without tempo and without the bass, you have nothing to sort of build up your harmony with the melody. On lesson number 4, chords that mimic life, we talk about, the differences between major and minor keys and how a typical chord progression might be set up. Lesson number 5, we talk about the power of the pinky, because how are we building this from left to right? Like where is the foundation of everything that we are going to do, and where is that built from? Like just like building blocks, we build from the bottom up. Same thing with the keyboard. We're going to build from that foundational base all the way up through to the harmony. And then lesson 6 is all about chunking. It's a practice in memorization, because what you're going to be memorizing, instead of certain like you already do this, like on a classical keyboard that you type your messages on or whatever, you have memorized certain patterns. Like if I said, type the word and, like you won't even think the letter A. You won't even think it. You will think about the muscle memory that it's going to take for you to type it. And hold your hands up right now and do the thing that you already know you're going to do. You're going to be like, oh, I will usually type A with this pinky, and then N, which is down on that lower key, and then D with my middle finger. Everyone's doing the same thing right now. And the keyboard, all right, the piano is no different. And so that lesson 6 is about, chunking that. Just like you chunked the letter and into a muscle memory, you can chunk things like, oh, play me a C chord. There it is. I didn't think about it. I noticed I didn't even have to look down at the keyboard. My fingers already went to those positions and just pressed down. That's how easy this is going to be once you're done with this, set of lessons. And these lessons are meant to be followed every week. And after you're done, you will have everything you need to do to continue to practice. Now, this is where a lot of people come running back, and it doesn't matter what age you are. You're just like, hey, this is hard. This is frustrating. Too many keys. I'm getting lost in the pattern. And that's why I said, well, if you are lost, I set up this particular scenario to go back to the basics. Okay. Notice how each one of these lessons is built on the previous lesson. That's how I did it. I set it up and said, hey, we're going to just start off with how your hand works. Then we're going to look at the pattern of the keyboard. And then we were going to see, hey, where is the bass on that pattern? Where is the tempo on that pattern? Like, where would the melody be in that pattern? And then, what is the differences between major and minor sounds? Like, and how do those play a role in our chord progressions? And then how do we build those sounds of our own? Like, if we want to build the progression ourselves, how do we build it? And we start with, this is why I say it's the power of the pinky. And then, of course, if you can memorize a cell phone number, then you can memorize any of the chunking methods and the progressions and the transposing ideas that I'm going to offer you as the finale of this system. Anyway, that's everything. There's nothing to be afraid of when you're coming in here to figure out how to play the keys. I'm telling you, once you see the pattern, you can't unsee it, and it becomes extremely easy. And that's why I wanted to, sort of throw away some of the things that we really don't need anymore in a modern teaching system. You don't need to sit here and memorize dots on a page. You don't need to do that in order to play this system, because we have things like Ultimate Guitar. We have things like YouTube that can give us, a good solid rendition of what we really want. We want to mimic what we hear. That's what we want. Okay. So if I listen to somebody, I'm like, and I really enjoy that, how do I reproduce that with the keyboard? That's what this method does. Okay. And it really, I don't really go into the DAW and how to set up your keyboard or anything like that. This is about, knowing how to use the keyboard. Now, maybe later on down the line, I might set up something that talks about how to link things up to your DAW. But I mean, it really is such a simple scenario. Like if you have an iPhone or an iPad with GarageBand and you go spend like $50 on something like this, right? This has Bluetooth in it. Like you don't have to link up anything. As long as you know how to turn on Bluetooth on your iPad, this thing will automatically link to it. Automatically. And, like I said, it's an extremely affordable device. Extremely affordable device. So there it is. Hope you enjoyed that small little intro. If you're still interested, hit me up. Let me know what you're thinking. And yeah, I'll talk to you later. Bye.